Alrighty guys, welcome back to 1822 MC Adventures and More. This is my channel. My name is Pete. And today, we're going to go motorboating. That's right, we're going motorboating today. Last night, I spent a wonderful night in the hammock. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to get in the boat. And we're going to go upstream and I'm going to see if I can catch some fish. You want to go? Get your gear, let's go. Alright everybody, welcome back to 1822 MC Adventures and More. This is my channel, my name is Pete, and today is our very first edition of Ammo Can Lunch. That's right, Ammo Can Lunch. I'm here in Studio B, and I owe you guys an overnighter. Wednesday, I went out down to Dixon Field to spend the night in my hammock, and with the intentions of going out in the boat in the morning for about an hour. Coming back and maybe cooking up either pancakes or fresh fish. Well, I went out there and I have never caught fish like that. I went out there and I caught at least 50, maybe 60 fish. I completely lost count. I brought home 11 shell crackers. I'm going to cook one here. And it was just a wonderful day. I caught probably at least 15 bass. The only one that was close to keeping was probably about 14 inches, but I let them all go. But they were mostly in the 7 to 13 inch range. Nice, I guess they're this year or last year fish, right? But then I went up the river, and unfortunately the camera was on burst, so I didn't really get any footage. But I struggled. I had the motor on there, and I was struggling trying to navigate. The water was low. I got to where I wanted to fish. And I just started hammering them. Every time I threw out, I was catching fish. I was using a panfish magnet jig with a piece of worm on it and a small bobber. And then I was using actual panfish magnets. And everything I threw at them, they just hammered it. And it was a great day. I promise I will make sure the camera's right next time I'm in the boat. But what do you say we go ahead and I brew up a cup of tea with my River Country Products 995 stove, and this is also a River Country Products cup. It's stainless steel, it's got a lid, it holds about 10.5 ounces of water, and if you're not in America, that's 700 milliliters of water. It's stainless steel. We'll boil that up real quick, I'll make a cup of tea, and then we'll start cooking some fish. And today, this is actually coming out of our kitchen. This is Granny's number 8 Griswold. I believe this was either my wife's grandmother or great-grandma's pan. Been around a long time. Yeah, those little cast iron skillets I got, they are too small for that fish. That's a shell cracker right there. As you can see, he's pretty good sized. My hand is, I don't know, if you put him like that, there's probably close to 10 inches. Nice shell cracker. And I gutted him, I scaled him, and then I run some score lines down both sides of the body so all the seasoning and whatnot could soak up in there. And because of the task at hand, I've busted out my antique Coleman green stove. These things will never ever fail you unless you run out of gas. Alright, now I got the throttle at about 2/3. And we'll let that heat up. You just have to remember to be very, very careful with it. Alrighty, my water over here is already boiling. I've said it before, that's a really fast stove. Okay, so then we'll take my Earl Grey tea. Put that in there, we'll just let that soak. And you know know it goes without saying that cup is hot. We'll let that sit there and seep. Now back in the olden days, I wouldn't be scared to just heat this up off the stove. A while back I thought I read somewhere that there's a special new kind of like plastic type lining inside these cans that you do not want to put a flame to them. So I'm going to heat it up in my probably seen better days GSI cup. Safety first, right guys? And of course you got to put some Texas Pete in there, right? And now the breading that I used on this fish, what I did was I filled this little tub most of the way up with Bisquick, and then I put a half a cup of pepper in there, and it was like regular ground black pepper. I also had one of those pepper grinders that has like 4 or 5 different colors of peppercorns. I put a bunch of that in there, and I put a little cayenne pepper, and I put a little salt in there, and that's all that's in there besides the Bisquick. So let's see, I think this grease is getting hot. Let's double check. Yep, I'd say it's hot. Alright guys. Don't try this at home. I am a trained professional. All right. We'll get the beanie weenie working, and here in a few minutes we're going to have us some shellcracker, guys. Yeah, I brought a bunch of these home. Like I said, I caught 11 of these. I brought them home Thursday night and dried them up for my wife, and she was just like, oh my God, these are so awesome. She had forgotten just how good a fresh shellcracker truly is. They are absolutely an awesome fish to eat. But yeah, I caught about, I think it was 7 shellcrackers, and then I caught a couple bluegills, a long-eared sunfish, and a red belly sunfish that were keepers. And then after that, I just got tired of putting them in the basket and catching them. Like I said, I got 50, 60 fish. I could not believe it. Every time I threw out there, I was catching fish. It was just awesome. Well, one thing for sure, that grease is nice and hot. Yeah. Well, I guess it's going to be kind of like blackened fish. That's a boiling. I'll turn that off. Yeah, I had my little ultralight S.S.cup 33 micro pole and a new reel on it. I have a new quantum reel on it actually. Next time I go out there, I'm going to be using my fly rod. With these fish, it was nice on the ultralight, but if I could get them on a fly rod, it would have been twice as much fun. So next time I believe we're going to do some fly rod action, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna flip this over, let that one side cook just a little bit more. I'm gonna call that just about done, guys. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Right. set that over there because that is definitely an accident waiting to happen. Whoops. I don't want the water spilling in there, not do we? Here we go, guys. Look at that. And I would just like to remind people, in case you didn't know this, if you're going to leave the head on the fish, make sure you pull them gills out. Hickory smoked beanie weenie and a fresh fried shellcracker. With, of course, a cup of tea. Still pretty warm. I'm sure I'll probably have to get what they call a set of hot lips for this. It's kind of like, I guess, a little silicone thing you put on there so you don't burn your lip if you're in a hurry. We'll just let that sit aside. So here we go, guys. This is it. Got a crisp on the outside, and it's nice and tender, light and fluffy, and sweet on the inside. Yeah, look at that. Is that good or what, guys? So here we go, guys. The fish is awesome. The beans are good. The tea is excellent. I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Alrighty, guys, as you can see, all that's left is the carcass. It was awesome. And that wraps up the first edition of Ammo Can Lunch. And I'm going to give a couple honorable mentions while I'm doing this. First, a River Country Products cup. Like I said, stainless steel, 300 milliliters, 10.5 ounces with a lid. Works great. It was like, it was $3.50. Not a bad cup for $3.50. And at almost 10.5 ounces is a great size for a cup of coffee. And a little less than that, it's a great size for a cup of tea, so it's a win-win situation for everybody. One more thing I want to talk about here real quick is my mosquito machine. Alright, so where I'm at, it's getting really hard to find these pads unless you're willing to order them with a credit card on Amazon or some bullshit like that. Normally what I'm finding is the pads in the little gas can. Well, I use the big one. So for me to just find pads, can't seem to source them out locally. But I seen a hack last night where someone said to take a dried out pad, spray it with a 1 to 6 solution of pyrethymine, and it should keep the bugs away. Well, I one-upped it. I put the pyrethymines on there, however the hell you say it. And I put a couple drops of lemongrass oil on there, and so it seems to be keeping the bugs away. More on that later, but research it yourself. Just alternatives to thermal cell pads. And they also said that the base ingredient that's in those pads is a derivative of the pyrethymines, or pyrethymines, or freaking chrysanthemum flower. How about that? But like I said, normally if I was out here, the mosquitoes would drive me back into the house, but with that on, there's not a mosquito in sight. So that is something worth looking into. So let's do a recap on lunch here. I had a fresh caught shellcracker. I cooked it in a number 8 Griswold cast iron skillet on my vintage Coleman stove. Turned out perfect. And the seasonings that I used is I put in some Bisquick in this here container, and I put in about a half a cup of a mixture of pepper, black pepper, 5 grind type pepper out of a grinder, and a little bit of cayenne pepper, and then some salt. And it was, like I said, it was Biscuit flour mix. Can of beanie weenies. You can never go wrong with a can of beanie weenies, right? Put a little hot sauce in there, turned out just right. And a cup of Earl Grey tea that was cooked on my River Country Products backpacking stove. So, all in all, it was great. And why I'm cooking this today in Studio B instead of down there in Dixon Field. Now, while I went down there Wednesday and I did get a late start, it wasn't that damn late, but when I went down there, my thought was, I just go down there, throw up the hammock real quick, get a little firewood, turn the camera on, maybe do a dinner video, whatever, do a couple little things. But when I get down there, what do I find down there? A fucking meth head sitting in his car smoking meth. I shit you not, he was smoking meth. And of course, so then I'm a little uncomfortable with that. So I go semi-tactical while I'm setting up my camp, trying to make this motherfucker feel uncomfortable. And as I'm wandering around over by his car, of course, what do I see? An out-of-date, out-of-state fucking tag on his car. Very typical for a meth head. So I'm collecting firewood around him, and I'm just kind of giving him the fucking hairy eyeball and whatnot. And I guess he finally got more uncomfortable with me than I was with him, and he took off. And so I just wasn't in the mood for the fucking camera and shit. The guy kind of totally fucked up my game plan for the night. But and so then the next morning, my plan was maybe go fishing for an hour, and then one of two things would have happened. Either one, I would have made blueberry pancakes and bacon for breakfast, or two, fresh fish and bacon for breakfast and maybe a pancake, something like that. But then, like I said, I got in the water and I'm struggling. It was my first day with the motor on the boat, and I'm trying to figure out how to skipper the boat up the river. The water was low, there was logs everywhere. I was having a hell of a time. But when I finally got to where I was wanting to go fishing, it was so worth it. Is that I ain't caught fish like this since I can remember. But I literally got tired of catching fish. Never thought I'd say that. So I'm out there and I'm just bringing them in, hand over fist. And then the bite slows down a little bit. And I'm starting to think, well, what should I switch to? And I looked at my watch and I'm like, I think I should switch the fucking motor on. I had been out there like 4.5 hours. Didn't even know what time it was. I was just having so much fun fishing and catching fish that I lost total track of time. So, with that being said, like I said, I owe you guys a hammock overnighter with a story and dinner, but this is an impromptu thing. When you go out there in the National Forest, one thing for sure, you don't ever know what you're going to find out there. You might find something really cool and unique. You might see some wildlife. You might just see some low-life motherfucking meth head. Anyways, with that being said, I know this is a all-over-the-place video, but I hope you enjoyed it. The fish was awesome. Like I said, fish was awesome. Mosquito machine hack seems to be working, and I like my new cup. So with that being said, you know the drill. Follow me. I know a shortcut.